So maybe I'm kidding a little bit. Maybe landlords aren't evil, but let me tell you, landlords are not your friend. Neither are property managers. They don't have your interests at heart. They have their interests at heart because they took the risk. They invested the money. They went out to the lenders. They have to deal with all that kind of stuff and they want to make a profit. But again, let me be very clear. What you need out of flexible space or office space or long-term space or whatever you want to call it, and what a landlord needs are completely different things. You want flexibility. They can't give you flexibility because that kills them. They need stability. You want short terms because things change. They struggle to give short terms. They need long terms because they made such a big investment. You want infrastructure included so you're not having to deal with all the hassle. They don't want to provide all the infrastructure because if they do, you're going to call them when something goes wrong. You're going to want to control as much as possible. When those cleaners come in and break something, you're going to want to handle it. But the landlord might not be able to let you do that because if it's a big building, they need to bring one cleaning company in who's approved, who's insured to handle everything. Let me tell you right now, I got a situation in one of my co-working spaces where a cleaning crew was changed by the landlord and they seem like nice folks. They're not trying to be difficult, but they're doing something without even realizing it. But something they're doing is causing us to have damage on a consistent basis. You'll see this with things like mop buckets that get dragged along walls and you'll get lines that kind of skim across because of the routine that they follow. You'll see it with restrooms that get stocked a certain way or, paper towels that don't get refilled when you want them to. Whatever the little niggles are, sure they can be fixed, but you don't control any of that. You've got to go through someone else to handle that. And that means you're at the mercy of them and how professional, how efficient, and all the other kind of things that go along with it. I've negotiated a lot of leases in the time that I've been involved in commercial real estate. We've looked at a lot of spaces. I'm probably at about 15 to 20 that we started negotiations on and went through the process to some extent. So I know a little bit more than a typical person because normal companies, they'll negotiate a lease and then they're good for 5 years or good for 10 years and they don't deal with it. By doing this so often and in such a small amount of time, it's helped me to really see how landlords approach things, deal with things. But again, make no mistake, I've had landlords on leases I've signed who've then gone in and made material changes to the building and the parking area that were included as part of my lease. And then when I asked the question, hey, what's going on? Well, you know what, it's tough. We didn't want that anymore, so we thought we'd change it. Okay, but I signed a lease with the building in this condition. Imagine moving into a building that's gray and the landlord decides they want to make it pink. Are you going to be okay in a pink building? Because I guarantee that lease says they can do it and there's nothing you can do to change it. So you give up all this control because they want to maintain all this control. And again, I'm not saying they're all evil, but their interests don't align with yours. And I'm telling you this practically, property managers might be the nicest people, but they're overworked. They got a ton of things to do. They can't react and respond as fast as you're going to need them to react and respond to your business needs. When something goes wrong, you want to control as much as possible. If you can't do that because you don't want to sign a long mortgage to have to buy a space and deal with all the hassles that go with that, your only option is to find a full service provider. And so if you're going to go and check them out, talk to them, look at the reviews, look at what people say, ask if you can talk to the members. Don't get the stock kind of, here's our testimonials. No, try and talk to people as you're walking around. See if they'll let you just stop and have a casual conversation. If they're providing great service and if their goal is to provide great service, they'll be happy with you talking to anybody in the space. I would be. In my spaces, we encourage it. We want you to talk to folks. We want you to get to know the people around you because we work so hard, so intentionally to deliver exceptional experiences to our members that trust us with their business. Because we value that trust, we appreciate that trust, and we know what goes into it because we're a small business too. And we have our business to think about as well as yours. So if you're looking to go in a space, find someone that's going to be looking after that space that really understands what looking after space means, what high levels of hospitality mean. If you don't, if they're grouchy on the way in, it's only going to get worse. If the space looks a little tatty and tired on the way in, it's going to get worse. If things look worn out now, they're going to look more worn out later. As a co-working operator myself, we've made heavy investments when we didn't need to. We've changed out entire sites worth of furniture, even though there was nothing wrong with the old, because we wanted to keep it fresh, we wanted to keep it live, we wanted to keep it cutting edge. We bring in more new cool stuff, change out conference rooms every few years. We make those investments and we invest that capital so that you don't have to, and that you get to enjoy the benefits of being in a space that's always going to impress your customers and your clients when you bring them in. So watch out. Find someone who's aligned with your core values. Find someone who's aligned with your DNA. Find someone who's aligned with hospitality and delivering great service. Honestly, it's probably not going to be a landlord.